everybody, it's Annette from The Art of Intuition. And today we are going to talk about waiting on realities to align, when we know it's not aligned, and what do we do? And this is a big one for a lot of us. It's a big one for a lot of us because we want to bring the people and the reality with us, right? So we kind of will use this excuse that, oh, it's going to align, it's going to align. It never really aligns. And that's because it's not... A couple things are going on here. Either it's never going to align in this current frequency, or we have to align it ourselves. And sometimes that's shutting it down. It's closing it out. And we don't really like that. We don't want to close it out. You know, we don't want to go through that. You know, we just don't. We want everyone to come with us. We want a lot of stuff to stay the same. We want higher line realities, but we still want our human people in them. We want our human realities with us. We don't want to have to let go of any of that stuff. And because we don't want to have to let go of any of that stuff, we tend to wait for it to align on its own. And I've done a couple videos about waiting for it to align on its own. So I've done that myself. And the hardest, well, one of the hardest things we get to is when we realize it's not going to. You know, it's not going to align. It's just not. You know, it's not going to align on its own. It's not going to happen on its own. We're going to have to be okay with that. We're going to have to let that go. And when you're in that situation, you really have to be honest. Are you waiting for it to align because you don't want to have to do what's going to align it? And a lot of people don't want to do what's going to align the reality because you're afraid it's going to close the whole thing out. And a lot of times it does. Because if it's not aligned, normally it's because it's just not going to align this frequency. And it's going to take a lot of time for you to get it to where it needs to be. And by time, I mean energy. And it's a waste of it. If you're in a reality that is not aligned, you know it's not aligned. And the main reason you know that is you can feel... Like if you're perfectly in bliss and happiness and you feel amazing, and then something in that reality, either a person comes in, a relationship comes in, a job comes in, anything that comes in that knocks you off that, it's not aligned. It's not aligned to the frequency you were in because it's now knocked you off your frequency. Now, sometimes you can feel, the field will agitate you. It'll come in and be like, oh, I feel agitated by that. But it's more so that your body is... adjusting to that. It can feel that the frequency is different, so you're overcompensating, which can make you tired, and that can also start to drain your field, and that can give you all these other things going on. So it's just important to remember that when you're going through a lot of these things, sometimes it takes a while for things to align. And sometimes we have to do something to make that happen. And if we're not doing it, we need to look at why we're not doing it. And we need to really be able to identify when it's not aligned and stop trying to convince ourselves it is aligned and that it's going to be fine. Like, no, that's fine. Don't worry about it. When it's like, this is clearly not aligned. It's clearly something we need to fix. And that happens quite a bit. And it happens quite a bit because we shift so fast. We shift in and out of realities. We shift in and out of what these realities are. We shift in and out of... our frequency shifts all throughout the day. So if your frequency shifts all throughout the day, these realities you're encountering are going to also feel like they're shifting all throughout the day. And they're really just kind of trying to show you that something's amiss. And we really have to pay attention to that. Something's amiss means something needs to be shifted, you know. And don't wait for that to occur on its own. If you want to give it a little bit of time and see, hey, can this shift? But after so long, and even if you wait, sometimes we might wait a year and really work on that reality and see, can it shift on its own by just us being in it, you know, and us bringing our highest self to it. Will it align? Will it shift? And then we're like, well, I don't know if it is. Maybe it's not really shifting. Maybe it's not going to really shift. These are things that we have to do to really be able to see what's going on and really be honest with ourselves. And if we're not being honest with ourselves, we need to look at why we're not being honest with ourselves. And I know I'm repeating a little bit at the beginning here, but it's really important to look at it. You know, really look at it and see, okay, is it aligned? Is this what I want it to be? What's going on here? When this person comes into my reality, why does it go topsy-turvy? When I go to this job, all of a sudden my vibration just shrinks. I shrink. What is it? Something I can tweak? Do I have to shut the whole thing down? Self-alignment normally to me only happens when it removes itself. I have had very few that kind of everything stays the same and all of a sudden everyone in the reality shifts but me. I mean, they can shift a little while because our frequency is different, so you can get different versions of them and different versions of the reality, but what you'll find is they can't hold that frequency. And if they can't hold that frequency, then it's not a sustainable reality in that vibration. It's going to go back to the other vibration because that's where they are. And if that's where they are, that's where it's going to go back to. So, waiting for it to align, normally not the best idea. Like I said, for a little while, but long term, we kind of know. And like I said, most of the ones I waited for to align, it was more just waiting for them to close themselves out. You do not want your universe to align it for you if you waste too much time. My universe did that to me last week, and that's why I really haven't been online. I won't be online next week because I have to continue aligning some things. And when that happens, it can be rough. So I would, word of caution, allow yourself the foresight, the consciousness to really look at something and say, what am I doing? Why is this not aligned? Staying in an unaligned reality. We already talked a little bit about, you know, what your universe will do to get you out of it. But I want to say a lot of the collective ships are sinking this year. You know, a lot of the collectives are going through a hard time. And if we're still attached up to that collective, we're going to feel it, we're going to see it, we're going to kind of be part of that. Be aware of trying to stay on a ship that's sinking. And a reality, it's really just a reality that's sinking. But a lot of times we'll keep going back to it, coming back to it, going back to it, because we don't want to go on. You know, humans would rather stay on a sinking ship than go board a dinghy and go somewhere else. And a lot of times when we're looking at these realities, looking at these pocket realities we've set up, looking at all these things we've created, or we've let other people create, that we're kind of in the middle of. And that's a big one too. Like, we'll kind of be in the middle of a reality and say, wow, like, how did I get in this? You know, am I even in this for the right reasons? We kind of let people place us in a reality. Now, technically, we're allowing ourselves to do that, so that means we have a creation in it. But a lot of times we can be like the side person in our own reality. And we don't even really realize that. You know, we don't even know that's what's going on. So I'm not going to make this super long today because I have a lot of things to catch up on because of my upgrade, which I'll talk more about that in a week or so. Once I'm on the other side of it, I'm still kind of in the middle of it. Somewhat on the other side of it, but still in the middle of it. Aligning realities is the most organic thing we can do. It's easy, it's organic, it's beautiful. We just don't like the collateral damage of it. You know, we don't like the fact that other people are going to not be there. We don't like the fact that we have to leave these people behind, and then we're not really leaving them behind. I mean, we don't want to go on, you know, but we kind of have to go on because we have to get to a different frequency to be able to assist them more later. You know, just because you move on from them doesn't mean you can't go back and get them later. If it feels aligned and they come to you and they're ready to then go on their journey with you. Going on and doing your journey doesn't mean you can never check in on these people, or they'll never check in on you, and you can't come back and help them later when you're in a different frequency to really be able to help someone. Because when we're in these other realities, and until you get kind of shooken out of them, you really don't see how ingrained you are in them and how it's affecting you. You know, I'm going to give one example. The COVID realities. Nobody went back to their old realities after the COVID realities were kind of done. Nobody went back to how they were. Nobody went back to that reality pre-COVID and did everything the same way. everyone monstrously shifted, cataclysmic shifts of everyone in some form or the other, because we were so forced to be by ourselves. So much fear was coming up, so much anger was coming up, and we were away from so many things that we put our energy into that we really didn't care that much about anymore. And whether you try to go back into them and they just didn't work, and a lot of them, I will guarantee you, have fallen away by now, and you started new ones. It was a collective push to show everybody, rearrange the board. Knock some things off the board. Let's rearrange the board. Let's look back and really see what's going on. Let's really pay attention, because a lot of times we don't want to do that. We don't want to pay attention. We don't want to have to really take a look at these things. But if we don't, then we're going to just get beat upside the head repeatedly by our universe, because we are not allowing things to unfold naturally. We're not allowing that. Instead, we are trying to hold on to one thing, grab something else, pull them together, trying to mix oil and water, two different vibrations. They can't exist together. And we're just wearing ourselves out trying to make them exist. And when you wear yourself out and spend a lot of your energy just wasting it on things that are not aligned, they're just not. You sacrifice the other realities where people more with your frequency that are a match to you, or they're there. They're not over here. They're over here. And if you spend all your time over here on stuff that's not working, you can't meet the people over here, because you're not allowing that. So, all right, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'll make it a short one. Okay, keep practicing the art of intuition.